Hey, what's up team, and welcome back to a new video. So it's Thursday, which means today is check-in day, and I've taken all my measurements this morning, and it's been another week of kind of mixed results, which to be honest, I'm not too surprised about. I went out at the weekend on Friday and Saturday, and I saw some friends. There was more calories floating around. I did try to stick to the calories for the evening, but look, sometimes all it takes is for you to go a little bit over and the results just won't be as good for that week. But look, that's totally cool, because I want to show you why it's important that you track things other than just your weight. Because on paper, my weight went up, my composition of my body didn't change that much. So it's really important that if you're tracking a weight loss journey, you track your waist, you track your body fat, you track your lean muscle mass, because these are things that are important, and we can't let just simply our body weight be the only factor that we're using to determine whether we're succeeding or not, right? Because if you eat carbs the night before or you have something super salty, guess what? The next morning, you're going to hold on to more water during the night and you're going to be heavier on the scales. That's not to say that all of that weight has gone into body fat. It takes a bit more for your body to add body fat, not as quick as kind of overnight thing. So anyway, let's jump onto the computer and let's go through those results right away. Right guys, so let's have a look at the progress for this week. So body weight, let's zoom out. So body weight shot up from 81.3 to 81.7. So it's not huge. That's what, 400 grams, almost half a kilo. But as I said, this was expected. I knew I had more calories at the weekend, and my deficit's about 10% at the moment. So I probably just went a little bit over as my weekly average, but I'm cool with this. I know that body weight is never a linear line going down. It's always kind of a zigzag. As you can see here, another week I had like another up and then it dropped down. So I'm expecting next week will be another big drop here. So that's cool. Now this is interesting, body fat. Body fat actually remained the same, and I'll tell you why. And guys, look, this is why it's really important that we don't just track weight. And you're going to see why in a second, because if I just tracked weight, I jump on the scales, I'd think, oh, I'm 400 grams, almost half a kilo heavier. Things aren't going great. You might then think, do you know what? It's not working. It's not for me, blah, 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 all that crap. But it's not what's actually happening under the hood, because look at this. If we look at measurements, so neck, we use neck to determine if the muscle is going up, right? It's a good guideline. So last week I was 34.5 and it went up to 35. So that went up. If we look at my chest measurement, let's zoom out. That went up from 100 to 101.5. It's quite a big increase there. Left bicep remained the same. Waist up ever so slightly, half a centimeter, 82.5 to 83. So what does this tell us? That my waist went up, my neck measurement went up, my chest measurement went up, and due to all the weights I'm doing, all the resistance training, this tells us that throughout this past week, I was in a small calorie surplus, which meant I built muscle. But because I have built more muscle and also added a fraction of body fat, then my body fat percentage has actually remained the same, because the composition has changed with my body. So if I go into body fat here, it's remained the same from last week, 17.8, 17.8. So this is why it's so important to look at other metrics other than just your body weight. So if we go to lean mass, guess what's happened? It went up slightly. Not much, but nevertheless. So it's not bad. Now, this is the thing. If I would have eaten more calories and not trained at all of that would have gone into body fat. But because I'm lifting weights and I'm doing more weights now, we'll look at that in a second, then that was a week where I've built muscle. And the more muscle you build, the more fat you burn, because you burn fat through muscle to become more efficient at burning calories. So it's not the kind of downward trend that we wanted, but this is very common. You know, it's the downwards, it's the trend we're looking at. We've had a little bit of an incline here, but I know most of this, 90% of this was muscle, and then it will come back down for next week, I'm sure. Right, let's look at the calendar. So I have changed things up a little bit. This sort of plan, you know, the push-pull legs, HIIT, was simply I was getting too fatigued on this and the low calories that I was running. So what I'm doing now is I'm really prioritizing weight. There'll be a time where I'm eating more food. I'm going to prioritize HIIT training again, but at the moment with such low calories, I want to prioritize weight. And then I'm going to have so I'm doing 5 days in a row. So legs with a posterior focus, push with a chest focus, pull, which includes back and biceps, legs anterior this time focus, and then an upper body here with a shoulder focus. So basically this upper body session, I'll hit these two muscle groups again, and then I'm going to rest 2 days in a row here. But on this day, Saturday, I'm going to do like a large activity, like a long walk, like for 2 or 3 hours. So this is just because I want to prioritize weight training. I don't feel as fatigued as when I was doing HIIT training here. So this seems to be working really well at the moment. Okay, so 8,000 steps. Again, I need to get better at doing this. What I normally find is when, and again, this is quite common with clients, when you get this sort of results, this is actually quite interesting. Let's look at this. And it's all to do with being complacent, really. A little bit complacent. So look at the trend, right? You start your plan, right? First couple of weeks, everyone's super excited. You get good result. And then guess what normally happens? You think, this is easy. And then you start indulging. You take your foot off the gas a little bit, and then your weight goes up. And then you think, shit, need to get back on it, right? Another big drop. And then here you get a bit complacent again, a few more calories, weight goes back up. So what do you think is going to happen for the next 2 weeks? Because now I'm going to tighten things up, right? It'll go down again, and then probably we'll get this trend again. I'll probably go up a little bit and then go down and down and then up a little bit and then down and down. This is, and if I was to zoom out and look at a year, ignore this, but if I was to look at a year, let's say it's here, it would kind of be like a zigzag, up and down, up and down, up and down, but the trend would be from there finishing down here. But it's never a straight line of like down, 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 down. It's never, doesn't look like that. So this is very, very common. So if at some point, if you are also wanting to lose fat, you see that some weeks it just goes up a slight bit, then just think, right, I need to tighten things up, get back on it, make sure you hit your steps, and then you will see 2 more kind of downward trends there. So this is all fine. Let's look at nutrition. This is today. Yep, so that's good. Hitting my goal here, which is good. Protein here. Now again, the reason why this is only showing 120 and not, it's because on some of these meals I'm only adding the calories, not the protein. So I know I'm hitting my protein goal. I wouldn't be building muscle with these fewer calories if I wasn't hitting that goal. Carbs and fats, but the distribution is where we want it to be. 42% protein, 28% carbohydrates, and 30% fats. So this is looking good. So if we go back to my goal at the moment, so nutrition wise, 1,750, 182 grams of protein, 123 grams of carbs, and 58 grams of fats. And I'm almost halfway through, so I'm 81.7. Target weight is roughly 78. And I think I've only got 4 weeks. Let's have a look. So currently here, so I've got 1, 2, 3. I guess that'll be my last video. So actually I've only got 3 weeks. Damn, got to step it up. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to cut back on calories because I think I'd feel really, really weak at the gym. I'm just going to make sure that I actually hit those calorie goals. Because if I hit that, I know by looking at the data, if I'm strict on those calories, and I know that this will happen, that and that. But this didn't happen here because I did not follow the calories. I had more. I was out twice a week. I was out with some friends. We had a roast on one day. Another day was date night. And, there was a few margaritas and stuff. But hey, that's life. You got to enjoy your life as well. So, cool. All right, guys. Nice and simple. Just a quick one today. What I'm also doing now regarding my leg workouts is, although this is a legs posterior focus, I'm still training legs and quads and hamstrings on both days. So before I was doing only hamstrings and glutes on posterior and only quadriceps on anterior legs. But now I'm doing half and half, because I think this actually, for when you're in a calorie deficit and when you're looking to retain muscle, is better to hit your muscle groups more frequently than just once a week. So this way I'm doing some quads and hamstrings on Monday, some quads and hamstrings on Thursday as well. So what we're going to do, so I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to film 2 of my favorite quad exercises and 2 of my favorite hamstring exercises. So the first exercise that we're going to hit up is called a goblet squat. Now this is great to target your quads. I like to use a heel raise, because with a heel raise, what that's going to do is allow you to have more flexibility on your ankle, and your knees will then bend forward slightly compared to just being on the floor, and then this will make sure that you actually engage your quads a lot more. It makes a huge difference, so definitely give this a go. So what you're also noticing is that I'm not locking out the movement at the top. I'm keeping my knees slightly bent, and I'm just really squeezing my quads on the way up and keeping my core switched on, and I'm also going down as far as I can. So now we're moving on to single leg extension. Now I like to use a pad underneath my leg, because what this does is it increases the range of motion. And I personally find that on a lot of these leg extension machines, the range of motion is really limited. So therefore you're just leaving a lot of potential muscle growth on the table. So by placing something under your knee, you're just increasing that range of motion by a good 20-25%. So give that a go. Now, due to my sporting history and playing a lot of football when I was younger, I've got a really strong developed quad on my right side compared to my left side. So what I like to do is I like to work single leg, so that you're putting all of the focus on one side and then switching, and then you're doing the same on the opposite side. What tends to happen if you have one leg stronger than the other is your dominant leg will always be the one that's going to carry most of the stress throughout the movement. So if you're someone that has that as well, I'd highly recommend trying just doing single leg stuff, so that you can get no more muscle imbalances, and eventually they'll be the same size and the same strength. Right team, next we have the kettlebell RDL. Now this is a great exercise to target your hamstrings. It's also going to work your core, and as you can see, the first thing I do is I put a quite a large plate on the floor, because what this does, it ensures that I get a little bit more range of motion. If I was to stand on the floor, the kettlebells will simply touch the floor too soon and I would lose range of motion. Also, you need to make sure your core's nice and tight and switched on throughout the entirety of the movement. And the one thing I would say about this exercise is make sure that you really focus on the eccentric part of the movement, which is the weight down. So make sure that you're going nice and slow, so that you can really feel the hamstring stretch. When you get to the bottom of the movement, then just shoot back up slowly, and then when you get to right to the top, just squeeze your glutes just ever so slightly to make sure that you complete the move. Right guys, last but not least, we have the single leg lying hamstring curl. Now once again, I like to do this single leg for the same reasons as doing my quads. My left hamstring is stronger than my right, so single leg will prevent any further muscle imbalances. Now the main thing to watch out for on here is as your heel comes towards your butt, you want to make sure that your back stays neutral. A lot of people get this wrong by overarching their back too much, and when that happens, the weight is simply too heavy and you are no longer isolating the hamstrings. So control the tempo, make sure you get a good stretch, and then drive that heel towards your butt, and then slowly back down again, making sure your core switched on and feeling a good stretch on your hamstring.